Guys, welcome back to the AMG channel. Today I'm going to be just talking about some basic tips and hints that would pretty much improve your gameplay, and if not, something general that would be good to know. Now, the first main thing is what people don't really know about, or what people don't really think about doing, or don't do at all. And I seem to watch this all over the videos, is that people always use single bus stations to transport you can say passengers from one location to another. Yes, the majority of people do use that methodology, even the AIs, but I do believe this is wrong. Why it's wrong? Because you always have a sort of capacity limit in terms of how many bus stations you can use. So for example, this, as you do see, is, hold on, let me find the actual station that I wanted to find. Here it is. Now, for example, this is a big town, as you do see. Now, a majority of people, what they will do is place bus stations anywhere. Now, the main thing is, don't place them anywhere. Try to get the bus stations to cover, you can say, the large high-rises. Covering the large high-rises obviously gives a larger population coming into the bus stations. Now, a very good thing to do, to keep in mind before you place the bus stations, is that you have the transparency options. This I'd like to thank Kefira for actually telling me this, as I didn't know this and I haven't used this. It's a very useful tool. You go to the options menu and you click transparency options, and here you can make transparent whatever you want. I want to make transparent buildings, so I'm going to click buildings so I can take a good look. Now I'm going to revisualize them again, and as you do see, I did make them transparent. Now the good thing is to keep in mind is to keep the bus stations where there is a high rise. So as you do see, there are a lot of high rises here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it again. Let's call it, no, let's make that. And I'm going to stick two stations beside each other. Hold on, I stuck them the wrong way. So I'm going to select the stations. I'm going to select this type of station. I'm going to select these two stations beside each other. Now, when the stations stick to each other, they count as one. Now you're going to say, well, how effective is this? This is very effective, because now remember, on the bus stations, when you do have, let's say, a couple of thousand, and no matter how many bus stations you do, you can't really seem to get rid of them. And what happens is you actually have a massive queue up at the bus station. Well, when you put two beside each other, that never happens. So the same thing will apply here. I'm going to see where are a lot of high rises. I'm going to select again the buildings. So I do know I'm going to have to stick them here, obviously the other way around. So that is 1 and 2. So let's destroy this and that, and then stick them that way, and we have 1 and 2. Now here we have our bus stations as we placed before. So what I'm going to do now is click on the thingy, new vehicles. We're going to have the super bus. We're going to tell them to go to here and then go to there. Now why is this more effective? Because the moment that bus station is full and you have more buses coming in, they will directly jump to the other station, even though it is another station. It's counted as one because it's linked to it. So this is very effective in terms of you can say placing these stations close to each other, because you can obviously increase the amount of passengers that you can transport, and there's less you can say queue ups. Like here, look at the amount of queue ups he has here, and of course that population, massive population that you do get with the passengers, that being 2,000, 1,800 on that actual station, can be actually harvested without any problems at all. So this is a very good strategy to use that practically nobody uses. I don't know why. And of course this strategy can be used for various things. The moment you stick a passenger or any station beside another station, it counts it as the same thing. So if we go to my airports, here is, you can say, my airport, that being Kinford Airport, and let's say Kinford Airport has 453. If I stick a bus station beside it, it'll be counted as with the Kinford, and if I stick a train beside it, any train station beside it, it will be counted again as that train station. So let me just show you. And now if I cancel this and I select it, Kinford Airport, you see it counts it as the same thing the moment you stick it beside it. This is very useful also, for example, if you have an airport and you can't build anywhere else, but you'd like another airport with the same passenger capacity to, let's say, harvest off to 3,000-4,000, but before in the beginning you placed a very small one. What you could do then is, when you're stuck, you can select another airport, let's say a larger airport, but since the small one was here, what you could do is maybe put another airport here, and as long as it's connected just by one cube, it'll be counted as the same thing, and you'll have the same amount of passengers in that airport. So this is a very good tactic in terms of being able to harvest you can say large populations and being able to expand on your current stations while using other stations, that being trains or whatever the hell you want it to be. Now if we go to the central, as you do see, the passenger capacity is low. If we do speed it up, it might go up, might go down. Both cases, no matter how high it goes, we can always harvest it. Even if it's 2, 3, 4, 5,000, it's not a problem. We can just chain up more buses, and you do see my buses don't stop, don't queue up. The actual flow of my bus is substantially quicker, so that actual transport of these units is substantially faster, better, and hell, you can make all the money you want, including take all the passengers that you do need. Now, this is one thing. This is, you can say, one of the points, that being to double stations. You can double stations, you can stick stations beside each other, that being train and buses, and you can actually extract those passengers. The other thing I mentioned was the transparency options. You do have the transparency options, when I remembered, in the settings here, and you can make everything transparent that you want. For example, when you're building, you can make the trees transparent. You can build through the trees in peace, because sometimes the trees do get in the way and you can't see shit. So that is very useful. Now, if you're going to profit, you'll need to stop using road vehicles altogether. Yes, road vehicles are nice, but at the end of the day, road vehicles just don't give you the money that you do need. You know, whether you like it or not, they just don't make a lot of money. The only thing that you could use road vehicles for is maybe for expanding your city, but that's a different thing altogether. Now, with the version 1.2.2, if by default, if you're not using anything else, if you just ran the actual game the way it is, then you'll make the most amount of money is to be made with using airports and transporting passengers. If we look at my actual planes, let's look at my actual planes, and you can see the actual income. I have 142,000 income, but this is because I'm using a GRF, an actual custom game mod, custom game script as well for this game. But if your default planes, by transporting passengers from, let's say, one side of the map to the other, or to the other side, you know, being width-wise, not length-wise, you'll make at least around 200,000–300,000 per flight. So literally, airports and passengers are the best way to transport. And talking about transporting, the best resource to transport is passengers, because passengers do not go anywhere. The city stays there while industries close down and move. So you always have to restructure your train. So really the best resource to transport is passengers, and the most profitable as well, because the city is there, the city keeps growing, and it'll keep giving you populations. So that's another good thing to know. Now, in terms of building your trains and how long, or how are you supposed to know how long to make the train be? Well, it's very, very easy. Let's go to one of my train lines if I can find one. Here we go. No, that's a bus line. Here's the train line. So, for example, I'm going to build any railway station. If I'm going to build it, platform length is going to be 7 long, or 5 long, or whatever the hell long it is. That's not an issue. So once you build that platform being whatever, 7, 8, 10, or actually 7 is maximum, then you're going to build a new train. Let's say I'm going to build the Leviathan. This is just for testing purposes. So now I have a Leviathan, and you have a small little number here that people again know as 0.5. Because I have it 7 long, I can maximum make this 7. So it means I can build passenger carts to it and mail carts to it, or whatever the hell you're transporting, as long as it's up till 7. So at the moment I build anything, that being passengers, oil tankers, or whatever the hell you want it to be, as you see, it changes. It's now 2.0. So this is a good way to know in how long or how many carts you can add to your train, that again a lot of people don't know. That being anything, whatever you're transporting, just make sure it's the number here is the same number as your platform track length. So if my track is 5, I can only build tracks or carts up till 5.0. Other than that, it'll be longer than the actual track, and it won't be efficient, and that's no real point of doing that, because it won't really work properly. So this is another useful thing to know. Now, you can of course use trains to actually hit your competitors' buses. This isn't the nicest thing to do, but you can do this. I'm going to give you a nice example here. Let me just sell off this thing. Let me just sell all these off. You can do this. It's not the nicest thing to do, but you can do it. This is what I do in terms of when I'm really playing aggressive versus a player or a co-op. I actually do this to hinder the person's profit. So this doesn't work train versus train because of the traffic lights that ought to appear there, but I do believe it might be possible because you can't actually cross the tracks, your tracks, with the other player's tracks, but with trains you can do that. Now, the best thing I realized to do is you're going to build this, you're going to stick it here, you're going to build that, you're going to stick that there, and then you're going to stop that, and new vehicle, Leviathan. Okay, stick in with a passenger and go. There you go. Now the buses are going to be hit. As you see, I am taking them out. This is a very dirty play, but I do this sometimes, and of course you can control it. What I do is I just make it like this. I make, let's say, 2, 3 of them on, let's say, a bus track that I'm not using at all, and this way I take out all the actual buses of my competitor. Again, this is a very dirty play method, but this is very useful to know in terms of cooperative and in terms of getting rid of your actual competitor's buses. Of course, all these buses, he's losing money, and of course he's losing income. So I start doing this all over the map, and I may maybe make several of these per bus line to mop up and clear out all his buses as quickly as possible. So this is another good thing for you guys to know. Now this is pretty much it in terms of what I could give you tips and tricks for the actual game itself and hints. Transporting passengers is the most profitable, the easiest as well, as the industries don't move, and all the other stuff that I mentioned is very useful again. Now all these buses are going to be taken out. It's pretty funny. Now another thing is we're going to have to go to the menu. This is pretty much, I'm done with this, so I'm going to hit the actual menu, farewell buses. Now another good thing is to know, if you're new to this game, is GRFs. You have the check online content section. Here you can download all the stuff that you'd like to know. Now it might seem to be a little bit hard and complicated because you have so much stuff that you're going to use, but it's pretty easy. It's simple. AIs is AIs, of course, artificial intelligence. So you can select what AI you want to use. To download it, obviously it's green because it's download, but if not, you hit that box and then you click download and it's downloaded for the AIs. For the libraries you can read what the libraries do and you can see what the libraries do. I don't really select the libraries, I let them be. Now other things you do have is game scripts. What I would recommend, if you'd like to mod the game to have a little bit more fun and you're new to this, I would recommend you to download 2 scripts. One of the scripts you download, neighbors are important. You select it and download it, and then the second thing you download is, here you have maps if you'd like to play specific maps of Highlands or Serbia, whatever the hell you'd like, to England, you know. And the next thing you can say modify in the game are GRFs, which means graphic visuals and units and so on and so forth, which are GRFs. If you select the GRFs, you can read the description, you see what it does. Now the second thing I'd recommend you to download is the Aviators, AV8 Aviators 2.11, including that neighbors, whatever the hell it was called, the neighbors are dear friends or some shit like that. Hold on, neighbors are important. These two are download and install. The Aviators gives you a whole new batch of aircrafts. That means Boeings, you get helicopters, you get a bunch of new units that you can use to transport, which is a little bit more fun. But again, keep in mind, once you do this GRF mod, it'll also change a little bit how the buildings look, of course, to the better. But it'll change the game mechanics, so don't expect it'll work as the default. With this mod, I did notice that aircrafts don't really yield a lot of money. It's more of a train mod. Trains yield the best money in terms of this mod. So use trains and of course use passengers. Now, this will completely change the game because the Neighbors Are Dear Friends, or whatever the hell it was called, Neighbors Are Dear Friends mod actually makes each city require something for you to actually supply to it, so it expands. Now let me show you exactly what I mean. That mod will mean that each city now that you do see here is let me show you this. Hold on. Transparency. Let me just remove the transparency for the buildings. As you do see now, I have a city this, and if I click the city, you'll see that all the stuff that I have to supply it for it to grow. Now the bigger it gets, the more stuff you have to supply it for it to grow, and I do believe this is a completely different aspect and enhancement for the game itself, which I would recommend you guys to do, because then it's not boring, because then you actually have to supply the town with more and more stuff for the actual town to grow, not like off the bat default stuff, which is very easy for it to grow. You just transport to it. So this is one of the GRFs that I would recommend, one of the scripts that I would recommend for you guys to add. Now to activate this, you go to the AI game script settings, and here you can actually select AI, and you can choose which AI that you downloaded, you know. And to know which is the best AI, I have an AI tournament going on for the best open TTD AI, so you can obviously check in the link below. That'll show you the AI tournament, and then in accordance to that you can select which AI you'd like to play up against. Now in terms of loading up the scripts, you have a small little thing, game scripts here, that people don't notice. You click the game scripts, and all the game scripts you downloaded from the online content, they will show up here. So when you click the actual game script, you will then select game script, and then you'll select from the drop down all the game scripts you downloaded. Now I only downloaded one, so I just select Neighbors Are Important. I click accept, and then I click close, and then I start the game, and it'll have those scripts and those mods. Now if you're expecting to download the GRFs and all these mods, and when you load your saved game that they'll appear there, no they won't. You'll have to start a new game for all these settings, scripts, and all the actual modifications you did to the game to appear there. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. that if you do want to see these changes, you're going to have to start a completely new game for this to follow. Of course, installing the AI, as I just showed you, is the same principle. And now just to show you how the GRFs work. So now we're in the main menu. You're going to click new GRF settings, and of course you do see that I have it there. So what I'm going to do is remove it. By default, when you download the GRFs, they're going to appear here. So you're going to select the GRF, you're going to click add, it's going to pop up there, and then you're going to click apply changes. Now keep in mind, the GRF you can also customize. So some of the GRFs, they have custom settings. So when you do click the GRF, you're going to click set parameters, and as you do see, you have a bunch of custom settings for that GRF, what you'd like to do with it. I usually put airport maintenance on to make it a little bit more, you can say, challenging. So that's pretty much it. Each GRF has its own custom settings. Some GRFs, of course, don't have the same settings. Each you can say, programmer that created these has their own settings, and you can say options that you can do, you can play around with. So this one obviously has these 5 settings that I can play with, and that's pretty much it. Of course, when I do change the parameters for the set parameters thing, then I'm just going to hit apply changes, and that's pretty much it. Of course, these changes, again, they will be applied for a new game. So if I do have a current game, it won't be changed in that current game. So every time you do make a GRF adjustment, including parameters or adding new stuff, you're going to have to start up a new game. Now, another good thing to know is that you can actually refit planes. For example, if I'm going to have a plane and I'm transporting, as you see, passengers and a mail, and I do realize that I suddenly have a lot of mail. So what I could do is I can build a new aircraft or send one of my aircrafts back to the hangar. Either I select the aircraft and I hit hangar, but just for this sake, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to, for example, build a new aircraft. I don't know, whichever one. I don't know, let's build one of the largest aircrafts, for example, the Boeing 2010. We will build the Boeing 2010. When you hit that, you have here, this is the refit of the 2 little boxes. So you're going to hit the boxes, and then here you can select cargo type to carry. So I can change this plane to carry either mail only, reverse colored, black colored, you know, company colored. This is just the color of the actual plane, what it'll be. So I can make the plane carry passengers, mail, diamonds, food, goods. So this is pretty cool in terms of if I want to transport some stuff and using the plane instead of trains. So I can really use the plane to transport passengers, mail, diamonds, food, and goods. So this is pretty cool if you guys want to do it. Of course, it does cost a little bit, I do believe. So for example, if I want to change it into just transporting goods, I'll click refit, and no, it doesn't charge me. Before it would charge me in the older patches. I do believe the new patches, they don't charge you anymore for refitting the plane, or it does, but if it did, I assumed it would pop up the minus part. But now if I go to the actual list, you see now it only transports 120 crates of goods. So this is pretty cool in terms of knowing, like this, for example, if I can transport, let's say, my farms to the food processing plant, and then from the food processing plant I can build an airport and transport those goods with my planes to my towns and supply it with food. And on a last note, what I'd like to tell you guys, the one and only hotkey that I do use is the delete one. So it's very useful in terms of, for example, when I do clone a lot of vehicles, since I do want a lot of vehicles to go on this route, as you do see, I'm going to clone. I'm going to have all these boxes open. Now there's 2 ways I can actually get these vehicles to start. One is I can obviously go on every single vehicle and hit start, which will take forever, or I can hit the delete key and all of it vanishes. That's exactly what I want to show you, and all I got to do is just hit the nice red little X here. I can just hit the first one, and once it leaves, I can hit the second one. Now, of course, the same principle applies for trains. When you hit the red X, it goes, and if you hit the the green one again, it'll go back to the red X, and that vehicle will stop. So this is a quick way to obviously get rid of all the boxes that you have all over the screen, and a more efficient way to close it quickly and reopen just that one box and resend them, which is the delete key. And that's pretty much it for this gameplay. You know, there's nothing really much to say. I do believe, well, I do expect that you guys know the basics in terms of how to play the game. The game is really pretty easy, but this should pretty much cover all the stuff that you should know, and comes very, very handy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it, love it, favorite it, and drop your comments down below if you'd like me to cover anything or talk about anything else. Take care. Happy gaming. Bye.